Hey guys, today we're going to design our trifolds. So you will need a piece of paper. I'll give you just a minute to go get that piece of paper before I continue. Now with that piece of paper, you need to fold the two sides in so that they meet in the middle. That's how you're going to get these creases that look like this and kind of end up looking like your trifold. So you'll take one end of the paper and bring it into the center. You'll take the other end of the paper and bring it into the center and fold it. If you can't quite figure that out, see if a neighbor can help you. So fold your paper now to create your trifold looking paper. Your trifold needs to have these elements. So these 9 things have to be on everyone's trifold. That's how we make sure that you get the information across that we want to make sure you get across. These elements on the green slides, these are optional. They could add to your trifold, they could make it more interesting, but they aren't required like the things on the red slides are. This slide is just going to repeat the same things I just told you. Now we're going to go through those elements one by one. So the first red element, that means it has to be included on your trifold, is your title. So the title could be your question. It does not have to be. And it should definitely be larger than everything else on the board. So these two trifolds, they did like a topic very large. This trifold, they did their question. It's up to you. Just make sure that we can see it from far away. It's colorful and it's creative because we want to draw people's attention to our specific project. So I'll give you a moment right now. Put your title where you think it's going to go on your trifold. Now, make sure you do this in pencil because things are going to be moving around as we continue going. Make sure you have that pencil and put your title somewhere on your trifold paper. Now your question, this only applies to you if you didn't make your title your question. So if you in this first slide, if you did something like this, if you made your question your main title, then you don't have to go back and include your question now. If you didn't yet include your question, you could put it down here like a subtitle. And think about drawing attention to your question. We want that also to be large and visible so that people know specifically what about this topic you are getting into. So it should be large and easy to read. Add your question now if you haven't already. Your claim is the third largest thing on your poster board. So your title and your question should be easy to see from far away. So should your claim. Something like this size, this size, this size. They should be able to read it as they are walking past. It shouldn't be super small text like this. Go ahead and include your claim where you think your claim will go right now. Your math graphs that you've been hard at work on, you only have to include one. You may include more, but you only have to include one. And you do need to include a rationale. A rationale means kind of what does this graph mean? What does it show? What did I discover from it? So if you look at these two examples, and they did a little write-up explaining this is what my graph means. And I know you're writing those paragraphs for math, so that should be a pretty easy double dip. Consider copying it by hand. You made them online and they can be printed that way, but when they're copied by hand, we can make them larger and we can put them on color, something to think about. Definitely make sure you're putting colorful paper behind it to give it that pop. So figure out right now, where do you think your math graph will go? Usually, see both of these are like the size of an 8.5, 11 sheet of paper. So where do you think that will go on your trifold? Your action plan is going to be 2 sentences. What will I do, or excuse me, what I will do, and how this will bring about meaningful change. So here you see an example, and here, what I will do and how this will bring about meaningful change. It's just explaining what your action plan is so they can see it as they walk up. Where do you think that will go on your trifold? And then your action plan artifact. This is the thing you did for your action plan. So regardless of what it was, you had some sort of artifact. This could be that PSA you made, that commercial, or that thing you made on Canva or Adobe Spark. That might be printed out. It could be playing on your Chromebook. It might be pictures or videos of you taking action. It could be something you made for a fundraising event. This is going to look different for everyone. For some of you, it'll be on your trifold. For others, it'll be in front of your trifold. However you think that's going to work. Now that we're getting into the in front of my trifold piece, put things that are going to go in front of your trifold on the back side of the paper. So on one side of the paper, you have the things going on the trifold. On the other side of the paper, have things going in front of your trifold. So fill in wherever your action plan artifact will be. Your 3D element in front. Now you might already have something 3D in front because that's what your action plan artifact is for you. Not everyone has that, or maybe you want to add an extra one, but something should be on the table in front of your trifold. Like I said, it could be your action plan artifact. It could be something you use in your presentation to help your audience understand. It could be something the audience can interact with. So this student had the audience members put in a yes or no vote into these two jars. Have they ever been discriminated against because they were different? This student was comparing two types of fishing reels, so he brought them. That way the audience could see exactly what he was talking about. What could you have in front of your trifold? So again, on one side of your paper, you have what's on your trifold. On the other side, you'll have what's in front of your trifold. So draw on that other side. What could you have in front of your trifold? Here's a couple more examples of 3D things that could go in front of. And finally, you will also have your manila folder in front of your trifold. We want the audience to be able to see all the research you've done, all the hard work you did, so you'll also have that with you lying in front of it. Oh, this is the finally. Obviously, there needs to be color. The trifolds the school provides you with are white, and we are taping things over top of the white. We do not want to tape white paper on top of white poster. Back it with colorful paper, make the things you print in color, cut things out of colorful paper, whatever you need to do. We want this to pop. We don't want just a white poster board with white words on it, or black and black and white. We don't want just a white poster board with black lettering on it. So now we get into the things that are optional. I don't see how you'd avoid having images, but technically it's optional. Images could be clip art, it could be cut out from magazines, you could print things off in color from Google image searches. You could have be pictures that you have taken printed in color. So here she has pictures of herself. You can cut out shapes. You can do your own drawings, but your images will really bring a lot of life to your presentation. A theme can be a lot of fun. So if you look at these two poster boards, they used images and shapes to make their board look like their topic. Theirs is about texting and driving, so it looks like a road, and they have included road signs to get their point across. This one is about laundry, so they've made all of their text and images on shapes that remind them of laundry. You could include your survey data. Maybe if you don't include your two-way table, or even if you do, you could include the data you got from that survey you took. Notice this student made sure she colored it in and she added some other images to make it interesting. You could also include quotes from your evidence. Maybe there was a specific quote in your research that you thought was attention grabbing. You could print that, or you could handwrite it in a large font so that people could have something to draw them over to your poster board. If you want to include your second graph you made for math, if you made one, or other graphs and tables you found in your research, you could certainly do so. Again, we want to make sure it's large and in color. We want the audience to be able to understand it from far away in order for it to be valuable to us. If it so happens that your topic is in the local news, you could show how relevant your topic is by clipping that out of the news. So it looks really cool if it's from an actual newspaper. An online print off works as well. But if on your poster board you can find this, you could include an article about your specific topic. Interactive elements are awesome if you can make it work. These are things the audience can touch or move, or you can touch or move while you're talking. It really makes your presentation pop if you can figure out how to make your trifold something that can be interacted with. Something that sticks out from the board also adds that pop effect. So things that are not 2D, they're 3D. Here's two examples, and here's two more. Look at how much more interesting those trifolds become when they have things that are sticking forward. So now's the time to make sure. Do you have all the elements you have to have on your paper? You should double check that right now. All those green slides that I went through, and really all these slides in general, these are all on your Power School class page. So at the bottom, design your trifold. You can go through these slides and take your time however you need to at the end of this video. Make sure you've got the elements you have to have. Make sure you're being creative. Make sure you're doing your topic justice. This is not the time to do the path of least resistance, to do the least amount just because you want to get it done. Some of these poster boards probably truly brought a lot of people over to their presentation and allowed that student to share more about the hard work they did. So make it pop. Put the work in, put the effort in. You've got this. Unlike me, because I can't figure out how to press this pause button. We'll get there one of these days. Maybe never.